Okay, we need to talk. In today's video, I've got 3 important things that I want to share with you. The first is kind of inspiration from a book that I started reading last week, The Daily Stoic. And in this book, every single day, there is some kind of reflection or meditation, something that makes you think differently about aspects of your life. Now, you might not be a fan of Stoicism. It's something that, requires you to view life maybe through a different lens to what you're used to. But I've got to be honest, there is so much truth in this kind of theory. And on Friday, which is the day I started reading this book, the message was, be the person you want to be. And it got me thinking about all of you. All of you who want to move to Italy, you need to start being the person you want to be in Italy, exactly where you are right now. Now, before you think I've lost my mind because you're living in a country that's like wildly different to Italy, hear me out. You need to start adopting behavior traits, habits, lifestyle changes that are going to reflect the person you want to be when you are here in Italy. Now, I did a short on Friday where I was talking about the benefits that living in Italy will bring you. And one of those is that your diet will radically change for the better. So, knowing the fact that your diet is going to change, one of the things you can start doing now, wherever you are in the world, is to assess and evaluate your diet and start making changes so that you are more focused on the use of fresh ingredients as opposed to leaning on processed sauces and ready meals. And maybe even you can start to learn some Italian dishes and learn to cook them from scratch. Because I guarantee when you start living here in Italy, food is going to take on a very different priority in your life compared to what it may or may not do at the moment. So this is something that you could start to do now. Be the person you want to be. Start changing your diet. Start changing your habits. Even like how you're going to live your life in Italy. I really don't think people spend enough time thinking about what their day-to-day life is going to look like in Italy, because it isn't going to be all the kind of dreamy stuff that you do when you're on holiday. It's actually going to be a bit more mundane than that. So you need to start thinking about the kinds of things you want to be doing here and see if you can start adopting those kinds of behaviors back in your own country. It sounds really, really kind of idealistic, maybe even a little bit woo-woo, but there is so much sense in this, because if you are working towards your dream of moving to Italy, you are going to have to start changing and adapting. And if you can start that now, like where you are in your own country, I promise you, your transition when you actually move here to Italy is going to be so much easier than if you wait until you've moved before you start changing your life and adopting new habits. It will be a lot more difficult and challenging for you. So I kind of thought this message might resonate with some of you. So this is the first important thing I wanted to share with you. Be the person you want to be. Start behaving like the person you want to be in Italy today, exactly where you are. The second important thing I want to share with you is a lot of you have been asking me to share exactly where I'm living now back in the Salerno province. Now, at the beginning, I was kind of open to this idea. However, a couple of things have changed my mind about this recently, and I wanted to share those with you today with full transparency. I watched a video from a fellow content creator who I really respect and admire, Raphael De Furia. I'll link the video up here if you fancy having a look. And he was quite open and candid in his video where he said that he probably won't be revealing where he's going to be living next. He's had a few difficult experiences, I think, where he's been quite open before about where he's lived. And it did get me thinking a little bit. Like, I used to be a police officer, as a lot of you know. So I've always been a little bit shrewd about the content that I post on the internet, the things that I share. I'm always a little bit more careful in that sense. But there have been moments where I forget sometimes that I'm posting to the internet, right? I feel this community on this channel. I recognize some of your comments, your names, and it makes me feel sometimes like I'm in a bit of a bubble. But I forget that it's not just you guys that see my content, but it's also complete strangers that don't know me as well. And unfortunately, sometimes these people don't have the best of intentions. So I had a little bit of a moment last week where I actually had a student who had done his homework on me before the lesson. Like literally, we started the lesson the first time I'd ever met this student. And he was reeling off all the information that he could find about me that, you know, I'd posted under my Ms. Brittany brand, kind of everything that I've done. And I've got to be honest with you, it freaked me out. Now, it's not to say that I don't expect people to understand who I am, what I've done in my life, you know, what I'm doing now, because I'm very open on this channel with the things that I do and my backstory and, you know, what I'm up to here in Italy. So yes, the content is there for people to see on the internet, and it's content that I have chosen to share. But the fact that somebody would actually do that before an English lesson, I don't know. I didn't quite understand the rationale behind it. It didn't make me feel comfortable. And so I've got to be honest with you, it's made me think that right about now, I'm not going to share exactly where I'm living in the Salerno province. I'm sure as time goes on, some of you will start to recognize where I am as I take you around, we go to events together and I do more content outdoors. But I'm not going to do a sit down video telling all of you where I'm living. I'm just doing it for myself, for my own personal security, but also because everything that we put out into the internet, we lose complete control over. I cannot edit who sees my content and what their thoughts and intentions might be. And just that little incident last week made me feel a little bit more cautious, and watching Raphael's video as well just got me questioning things a little bit. And so I'm here in the Salerno province. Although I'm not going to be saying exactly where I am, I'm sure, as I've just said, as time goes on, some of you will really be able to recognize where I am. And, you know, maybe a bit later on, I will feel more comfortable in sharing. But right about now, this is all I'm going to be talking about. So I hope that you guys can respect this. Of course, it doesn't change anything about my content, but I didn't want you to think I was being rude in not talking about where exactly I'm living. It's more for me than anything else. And the third important thing that I wanted to share with you in this video today is that I had this really interesting comment on one of my videos that I read this week. And this video is like an old video. It's like a couple of years old. It's one of my best performing videos. It's attracted a lot of comments. But this just reminded me of something fundamental that I wanted to share with you. First of all, when we consume things on the internet, 9 times out of 10, we form judgments and assumptions without really understanding the full picture. This person didn't understand my video at all because this person thought I was American. I'm from London. And there was just a very negative tone to this entire message, which didn't actually resemble what I was talking about in that video and what this channel represents. What I have started to notice is some people are very heavy in pushing their positive outlook of Italy onto me and onto the content that I produce on this channel, almost in a way to make me go, do you know what, you're right, I am far too negative. But this is the reality, guys. Nobody lives in Disneyland. We live in places that are imperfect. So many people throw things at me about London. Well, you know, London's not perfect. Listen, I'm there high-fiving you. You are spot on. Absolutely. London is a lot of the time. It's a difficult city to live in. It's complicated. Sometimes it's bloody expensive. And, you know, there's a drug problem in London. There are gang problems, robberies left, right and centre. Don't ever walk around with your phone. It's this, right? London is this. And remember, I used to police the streets of London. So I became very cynical about life and I saw a completely different side to what most tourists see. It's this. I am not in any way going to be like, don't talk to me about London like this. You can say whatever you want. But I noticed that a lot of people push back when I have something to say about Italy that could be considered remotely critical, but it's not. I'm here. I love this country. And I think, you know, if you have followed me for this 4-year journey that I've been on with you so far, you all know this by now. Actions always speak louder than words. I don't have to be here if I don't want to be, okay? But I am going to be telling you about the realistic side of life here as well, because as I've said in so much of my content, you deserve to know this. I think, you know, we want to believe the fairy tale of Italy because it's a sense of escapism, because it makes us feel like the grass is greener on the other side, but it isn't. And I think if you can accept that and actually come to terms with that and be okay with that, you will create a great life for yourself here, absolutely. But if you come here and you only want to look at the positives, in a way, you are not really open to reality, because reality is not this. You may very well have had an incredible run so far in this country, and I take my hat off to you and I say well done, because you know what? It's not easy to live in Italy, but it's not to say that something in the future could change and you start to encounter difficulties. We do not live in a Cinderella story. So I just wanted to share this with you today, because I know that a lot of you get what I talk about on this channel, but I also don't need to be constantly told that this place is perfect and, you know, it's not like going to the moon, which is a comment I read the other day. It's this, I'm just being real. I'm just being real about life in Italy through my own personal lens. No two people's experiences will be the same. I'm very aware of this. And I openly admit that, you know, this is my experience living in South Italy, totally different in other parts of the country, absolutely. But it's this. So I think it's always good to keep that balance. Don't lean too heavily into one or the other. And I think you will really create a good life for yourself in this country. And these are the 3 important things I wanted to share with you today. I will see you in the next video.